If you're wondering what my sales process looks like and how I navigate appointments with sellers, check it out right here. I'm gonna break down in this video exactly how I talk to sellers in person on this video that I recorded with the seller's permission. Now, this is a different sales strategy I use when I'm meeting with off market. Now, when you're meeting with like sellers that are, agents or other wholesalers, you don't really need to take them through this, but this is how I roll with sellers. So this is what I said to the seller. I said, hey, seller, I'm going to record this so I can send you this recording if you want to review what I said. And then I use it for content, blur out their faces. So I'm looking around at comparables. That's like okay. So first step I do when I sit down with a seller, I say, hey, let's run the comps on your house together. So you don't think I'm just BSing you, because a lot of the time people don't trust anybody. So I say, let's run the comps. You do as a real estate investor, you just want to see what.
That was a couple months ago. Yeah.
So I just using Zillow. I'm just going through, we're talking, we're chatting. This is them right here. Very nice couple. I say, hey, look, this house for 640. It's not moving. They're way overpriced. And your house is not like that. This one at 570, not moving. I know you want a lot, but house is nicer than yours. They're not moving. So they're starting to get it. They're like, okay. And then I say, okay, there's your house. I think I found a good comp. Okay, I say this one, $499. We'll see if I. So they're selling.
It's only 3-bedroom though.
Yours is 4.
Oh yeah.
And yours, I think yours is 18. Let's see. I think it says right here, 1741. This one is 16. Yep. So it's pretty dang close. I wonder, same house. Maybe they have a open layout in the basement or something, but not flipped. So my thought is, like, if you were to flip this one or your house, this would be around 550, 560. That's my thought. So as a flipper, okay. So the guy just went from thinking his house was worth a ton, for me showing him like, bro, it ain't worth a ton. If we flip it, look at this house is 550. It's probably what you're going to get. If it makes sense for me to flip your house, I'm gonna buy it. And that's what the numbers are. So right here is a calculator. This is how we make money. So if I type in 550 for your house and I buy it at, let's just say he wanted to sell it to me for 426. Okay. It's worth 550. It needs quite a bit of work. Let's see if the numbers make sense. I'm showing him, Mr. Seller, this is how I make money. If I don't make money, I don't buy your house. And no one will buy your house if they can't make money. 400,000. Let's just say we were able to pay cash for that 400,000. I borrow money. Most flippers are going to borrow hard money and they're going to pay interest on it. It's going to take them probably about 5 months to flip and sell it. And they have to pay closing costs and commissions. And your house, in order to flip it to get it to pristine condition, this is a medium rehab. It's not destroyed or anything, but you'd have to update things and it's going to cost, so you got medium, and I put in the square footage, 1714. So for someone to flip this house, they usually want to be in the green. Right here, we're in the yellow. So somebody might look at this and be like, I would probably do it. I'm going to make. Now, look, if I could get the deal at 400,000, I probably would have just been like, hey, I can do this, or someone in my network will do it. Let me run this by my people. He wasn't willing to go down to 400. When something is between 10 and 20% return on your investment, which just basically means that the ARV, you just divide it by the profit, and that's how you get your net margin. If it's between 10 and 20%, most flippers will do it. But again, he wouldn't go that low. He was at like 426, plus I'd have to wholesale it. So we're at like 435. It's going to be less than 10%, not a deal. People want to, at the moment, they want to have a 15 to 20% return on their investment. So again, that's why I think Joe and Homebuyer, all these guys are like, hey, let me just see, I can check. There might be somebody that's willing to do it. But in order for this to be like a home run for someone, obviously you guys know, like, that's the offers you've been getting once you go to 3, I think 370 gets you in the green. Yeah. So I think the max. So most people are going to come at these people with 370, 380 for them to make a good return on their money. I don't just make cash offers, everybody. I go through their options with them. So right here, I say, okay, look, cash offers not looking like what you're interested in, unless you want me to just run this by and blast it out to my buyers list. And I showed them my buyers list in Utah. I said, I can do this if you're open to it. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to buy your house. You're asking a little too much, blah, blah, blah. So then I run through their options with them. Feel like you get the right offer, right? So if you renovate and resell it yourself, you're going to walk away with more money, right? Because this calculator actually breaks down if you guys just do it instead of, selling it.
Right.
It breaks down right here. And hopefully this is useful information. I'm just.
Yeah. I see a lot of things that.
So if you were to flip this yourself and sell for 550, it would take 5 months. So let's say 5 months from now, you're done flipping it. you'd pay commissions and fees, 6%. So those are the fees that you'd pay. And your rehab costs would be estimated around like 49,000. And it takes away all the fees that you would pay. And it says after everything's said and done, if you were to flip this yourself in 5 months and rehab it, you'd walk with 475. So if that's an option to you.
Well, put that down to 3.5.
3.5, this one?
I ever got somebody to do 3.5.
And I also could do it like extremely cheap for you too. You mean to list it, correct?
What's that?
You mean to list it, right? Like you have someone that would do it for a lot. So there you go, 489.
So I tell people my cash offer, I already told him it would be like 380 if he wants me to buy it. If he wants me to just blast it to my buyers list and wholesale it, it would be potentially more, but he'd have to give me a couple days. I also tell them option 2. I say, hey, why don't you just flip this thing? Why are you even talking to me? Let me just give you some contractors and you flip it. The reason why I do that is to make them feel like I'm not a pressure salesman. I'm not trying to just make them go with me. I like to give sellers options so they feel like, not so they feel, but they know like I don't really care. I want the best option for them. I'm not trying to just push something for me. So I let them know. You just saw how much they would make if they flip it.
So if you're like, hey, let me just take 5 months and put about 50 on this, because it's like,
okay, so
533.
530.
Then we go into novation. I say, hey, look, I can just list this thing for you and I'll cover repairs and we'll get this on the MLS. And I think if we put this thing on the market, and I ran through the numbers with them. I was like, we could probably list it at 460 as is after commissions, fees, and I want to make some money. I could get you 425. And that's your number. That's what you want, right, sir? And he's like, yeah, I kind of want 425.
Okay. We started out, then went down to 525.
So anyway, and he was not open to terms. Check this out, guys. This is wild. All right. So the video stops recording and I go to StreamYard to record it. And this is what happens, man. I just start recording a new one. It's hilarious. He gets a call from his job. He's a truck driver, and he basically quit his job because he was going to move because the wholesaler said they were going to buy his house and they didn't. And there was an issue over where the house he was buying in Alabama. So he quit his job and he gets a call from his job as we're on the appointment. So they're just talking. They're like, you want to come back to work, baby? And he's like, what? So they're just talking,
same thing,
chatting away.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. This is great.
I can't tell you enough. I changed it everything.
Good. Yeah.
Dude, I can't tell you enough. I really want to thank you.
Yeah, of course. This is great news.
God, if I get my contract back, this is the one where I made 131. It's the most money I've ever made anytime.
Let's go. We're
Get him nuts.
Let's get it. That's
some
amazing,
weeks,
bro.
dude, some weeks the money come through. I make 3 to 4 weeks that I can't get home over route.
The reasons why you were thinking about moving is because you wanted to change routes.
So anyway, right before I'm done with the appointment, guy gets his job back. I'm happy. I'm ecstatic for the guy. He's like, hey, I got my job back. I don't need to move. And I'm not upset. Like, hey, it's a win-win. Like, if he doesn't need to sell, he doesn't need to sell. So I chat with him for a little bit more. The guy ends up giving me this. He's Jewish. So he's like, hey, man, let me give you a little trinket of the Lion of Judah. He's like, let me give you a little penny or whatever. And I'm like, great, thanks, man. So before I leave, we're pretty good friends. He's like, dude, please check on me every month. Like we're going to sell this house, but right now this contract's till the end of February, but thank you so much. Like, I really like you, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I want to show you guys a live scenario of like what happens when you lock up people and they don't trust anybody, and how I go in there and I say, hey, look, I don't care what option you go for. If you want to sell, I got your back. I can list it. I can give you contractors. I can do innovation, terms, cash. And in the end, if they don't need to sell because they get their job back, be happy for them. Great. Look, I'm here for you if you need me. Does anyone have any questions about that workflow? About like when you do meet someone who doesn't trust, is lost trust, and it's very hard to gain trust? That process I just showed you in person is what I do over Zoom. It's what I do over the phone. It's what I do. That's my sales process. Let me show you your options. Which one do you want? Any questions? And if that was way too much, if you don't like my process, that's totally cool. I'm just showing you what's worked for me, what works. And that offering just one option gets you less of an opportunity to do deals. But more options you do, the more you can do. Just be real with people. And that's why like the pre-flipping, painless flipping way is just like, hey, you got a house. Let me see if any of my buyers will do it quickly. And you hit them up. Because I JV a lot. And half the time I see properties under contract that are just like the worst deals ever. And it's unfortunate. People just don't run their numbers right. So, but that's just how it is, right? Until we can stop it or help people like do it the right way. Now, if you got a screaming deal, like if it's the ARV is 500,000 and the seller's willing to sell it to you for 250 and it needs like 50K rehab, lock that thing up. And I even tell them like, hey, I'd love to buy your house. I can buy it for this, but you're obviously, if you list this thing, you're going to get more money. I tell them that every time because it's either they're going to decide later and try to ghost you, or so I throw it all out there. It's just like, hey, are you sure we're good? We can move forward? Because I don't want to send a contract over unless you're 100% ready to go. If you like this content, you want to learn a little bit more of how you can navigate appointments to sellers, how you can do deals, fix and flip, wholesale, do it all, get started in real estate, follow me for more information and subscribe.